Welcome back, everyone. Today, I'm bringing you a story unlike anything we've ever shared before. If you've been feeling stuck, tired, or if your dreams have started to feel a bit heavy lately, this is exactly what you need to hear. This story is more than just words. It's a beautiful, inspiring wave of motivation that will make you feel your ambition rushing back, stronger than ever. Get ready for an extraordinary journey. Today's story is called The Dandelion Rebellion. Let's dive in. The Dandelion Rebellion. In the sky of the forgotten garden, silence hung heavy, pierced only by a single thread of white silk swimming through the void. A solitary dandelion seed, locked in a final bartering with the wind, was not falling in vain. It was negotiating with the air for a descent worthy of its rebellion, as if it were a meteor of cotton, choosing to plummet far beyond its orbit. With cold determination, it settled into the narrowest possible corner, a dry, rocky cleft at the edge of the pavement. There, where no soil promised life and no shadow warded off nothingness, only a mute stone lay in wait for its imminent desiccation. Meters away, the world hummed with conformity. A field of sunflowers struck their roots into the soft silt, rising in disciplined golden rows, bowing their heavy heads with elegant subservience toward the glowing disk in the sky. Those flowers appeared like guardians of a guaranteed glory, watching the light with the certainty of the privileged. Meanwhile, the tiny seed was carving its existence into the stubbornness of the rock. Solitary, in a profound silence broken only by the sound of approaching footsteps, destined either to end the story or begin it. The rhythmic thud of footsteps halted at a dilapidated wooden bench. Ayad sat down, his body laden with exhaustion, placing his leather bag beside him like a burden that did not belong to him. Within its depths lay the manuscript of his latest novel, hundreds of pages kneaded with the blood of his nerves, before he decided today that this would be their final journey toward the basket of oblivion. Ayad raised his gaze toward the field of sunflowers. To him, the golden blooms resembled those writers whose names crowded the storefronts. They leaned wherever the light leaned, harvesting applause because they chose the soft soil and guaranteed certainty. He sighed bitterly. Then his eyes fell upon that dandelion trapped in the rocky cleft at his feet. He saw in it a stark reflection of his own disappointment. A plant born in the wrong place, trying to cling to life in an environment that recognizes only the powerful and the beautiful. He whispered to himself with bitterness, "Even nature has its satirical jokes. It grants wings to those who have no chance to fly." Suddenly, the air woke from its stagnation as a fierce wind gusted through, not to caress the garden, but to uproot its stillness. The heads of the sunflowers swayed gracefully to keep pace with the storm, while the dandelion orb shook violently, its delicate parachute swaying on the precipice of disintegration. Impelled by an instinctive urge, Ayad lunged toward it. He wanted to uproot it, to hide it in his bag next to his discarded manuscript. He wanted to protect it from scattering, or perhaps he wanted to crush the weakness he saw in himself. But as he grasped its slender stem, he was jolted. The roots were deep within the bowels of the rock, clinging to their existence with a strength disproportionate to their fragility, as if whispering to him, "I am here because I chose to be." He pulled back from uprooting it, cupping it within his palms to create a shelter. Within that forced stillness inside the prison of his hands, a dialogue was born. "Ayad, be still. I will protect you from being lost. The wind will scatter you and turn you into nothingness. The voice of the dandelion echoing in his soul. You are not protecting me. You are suffocating me. What you call tearing apart is my rite of passage toward immortality. I designed my wings to multiply, not to freeze. Departure is my identity, and scattering is my only way to conquer the earth. Ayad felt the coldness of the stone melt before the heat of this realization. He remembered that this plant, scorned by passers-by, carries within its essence the serum of healing. It grants life to those who crush it. The dandelion continued, My ambition is not to remain in one place like the sunflowers you envy. They possess the light, but I am the one who spreads it. My scattering is not death. It is continuity in 1,000 new lands. I seek cosmic expansion, while you fear for your words from a gust of wind. In that moment, vitality surged through Ayad's veins. He realized that his frustration was not due to the failure of his words, but because of his fear of them leaving his possession. He had searched for guaranteed certainty and forgotten that the greatness of an impact lies in its ability to fly, to fall into the hand of a stranger he will never see and silently change their life. In that pivotal moment, while Ayad held his siege around the dandelion, a forgotten truth stirred in his mind. This plant, despised by the wayfarer, hides an antidote within its bitterness. The dandelion seeks no admiration, nor does it harbor the arrogance of the sunflower. It does not aspire to be a decorative vase. It seeks salvation, to scatter its healing essence into the breath of the world. As the storm intensified, the earth trembled beneath the feet of the sunflowers. Those golden blooms he once envied were now shivering in terror, desperate to steady their stalks in the silt, hanging their heavy heads in fear of breaking. They were prisoners of their own wholeness, fearing the wind and seeing it as a mortal enemy. As for the dandelion beneath his palms, it was dancing in ecstasy, spreading its cotton wings with delight, awaiting the moment to declare its independence from the weight of the earth. Slowly, like one releasing a prisoner, Ayad opened his palms. Hundreds of white parachutes took flight, rebelling against the place, transforming the void into a theater of white conquest. They were not mere seeds. They were his words, kneaded with the blood of his nerves, now shattering across the sky, leaving the sunflower a prisoner to its limited field, while they moved on to conquer horizons never before imagined. Ayad smiled a smile he had never known. He realized that the scattering of his dreams, which had once made him weep, was nothing but a mass migration toward hearts he did not know. This tiny plant possessed the courage to leave the garden walls, while others remained stuck in the mud of false lights. Ayad leaned down and pulled his manuscript from the darkness of the bag. To his eyes, the papers were now a labor of light, not just dead ink. They were no longer a failed project, but a garden awaiting its own wind. The word is the seed, his lips whispered with a certainty he had never tasted before. He grasped the truth hidden by the false glare of fame. The sunflower represents those chasing fleeting lights, turning their faces wherever the audience leans. If the light is veiled, their necks break in disappointment. As for him, he chose to be a literary dandelion. The winds of oblivion might scatter his words for years. They might fall into the clefts of neglected hearts. But one day, they will sprout in a foreign land to grant life. Ayad looked toward the sky, watching the last white parachute dissolve into the horizon, the closing point of the story of his fear, and the beginning of the story of his legacy. He no longer cared how many would read, but who would be healed. He closed his empty palms, yet his soul overflowed with fullness. He had been liberated from the prison of possession to become the master of the expanse. He grasped his pen and opened his first page with a tranquil heart, realizing that a sincere word never loses its way. It goes forth to plant life and departs. And that, my friends, is how a fragile seed taught us that true impact doesn't seek the spotlight. It creates its own destiny. Never fear the storms that scatter your dreams, for they might just be the very winds carrying your purpose to where it is needed most. Be the dandelion in a world of sunflowers. Embrace your path, trust your journey, and let your spark fly. Thank you so much for watching. If this story touched your heart and reignited your ambition, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, keep striving, keep writing your own story, and I'll see you in the next chapter.